What up, world? Welcome to episode 105 of the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Wright, coming to you from the beautiful and cloudy confines of Atlantic City, New Jersey. Wherever you may be watching or listening, I thank you as always. Like, share, and subscribe. It helps the channel. You can check the Blunt Talk Sports Podcast out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Substack, Patreon, Trovo, and as well as on Podbean. Looking to get out this weekend, looking to take your spouse out, have a great time with some friends, then look no further than the number one leading ticket seller and reseller in the world, StubHub. Number one seller in the world for live events, tickets, shows, and concerts, StubHub. Thank you guys as always for plugging in. This episode will be a shout out to the Bird Gang, flyeaglesfly. We're going to be touching on the Eagles, things that Howie Roseman, Jeffrey Lurie, Nick Sirianni talked about during the owners' meetings this past week in Palm Beach, Florida. A lot to unpack. I dropped a ton of episodes. I appreciate you guys for the likes, the views, and the comments. Show is definitely growing. Without you guys, this wouldn't be possible. And again, I thank you as always. But, you know, to my fellow brethren of the Bird Gang, I definitely wanted to make sure I had a jam-packed episode for you today. So we're going to hop right into it. The most talked about thing throughout the whole damn owners meetings, which I think was resoundingly like annoying for me if you're an Eagles fan or if you're an Eagles fan, was the tush push debate. Now, I understand, you know, in the beginning when people tried to argue this whole letter of the law bullshit, when Mark Murphy, president of the Green Bay Packers, had presented this, and, you know, people were all like, you know, he has a point, you know, it's spirit of the rule of the game. And the more and more the week went on, you realize this is just a ploy by teams who can't stop it to get it banned so that way they don't have to defend it anymore. I can't sugarcoat it, fucking shade it any other way. If you are an Eagles fan, you should be pissed the fuck off that this was even a discussion. That the fact that they still didn't have the votes to even ban it, but then we'll table it till May and the Packers will change some of their verbiage. I got news for you, right? I'm expecting, and all my fellow Eagles fans, I'm telling you, I'm expecting them to come out with some bullshit and say this play is going to get banned. However, it will be fucking resoundingly hilarious if the Eagles, this play doesn't get banned, because ultimately the whole myth with this play is, oh, well, you know, they take a fourth down and they just easily get it. And the Eagles don't easily get it. You know, and if I remember correctly, the percentage, I think last this past season, the 2024 season, mind you, Super Bowl season, they were only like 85% on the play. So, you know, I remember in the beginning, this is so funny to me because I remember beginning of the year, oh, Jason Kelsey's not there, Cam Jurgens is there, oh, that play's getting stuffed out. Now all of a sudden we're talking about banning it? It's just fucking hilarious to me. This is weak sauce. It's weak. It's weak as fuck. When you get teams talking like this, you really start needing to look at how these teams are set up. And when that's the leadership talking like that, it gives you a clear indication of why teams maybe haven't gotten over the hump or reached certain criterias or reached certain plateaus that they thought they would reach. Because you have soft-ass ownership that does shit like this. Because I can tell you now, no one banned the Wildcat. Someone just figured out how to stop it. The tush push has been stopped. So I don't understand how all of a sudden now we're in the mode of wanting to ban fucking plays out of the game. It's crazy. We don't ban when a guy does a pick block. That shit happens every game. It gets called, it doesn't get called, whatever. But the thing that's hilarious to me is the fact that this is really a thing. Like, they really are arguing this. Like I said, it's going to get tabled until May. I expect some bullshit to come out of it where they'll try to ban it in some way, shape, or form. But this is fucking egregious. I mean, you got guys just essentially bitching because they can't stop a fucking play. That's essentially what we're talking about. Week. Going a little bit further, we talked going into Nick Sirianni, head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, and some of the things that Nick Sirianni touched on throughout the year. Throughout the meeting. I'm already mentally prepared for the football season, but it was a lot of great things that he talked about. But a major thing that he talked about was the preparation for the 2025 season. Basically stating that the Super Bowl celebration is over and it's time to recalibrate. I love this mindset. I love how he's pretty much getting the team. The team's already pretty much, a lot of the guys, the leaders on the team has been saying this already. AJ, Jalen, Saquon. So this message is just pretty much being reverberated to the fan base. But yes, I mean, I can honestly tell you, I was happy as hell the night of the Super Bowl. I was happy as hell that week. I was even happier the following week. I literally started putting it out of my mind maybe 2 weeks ago. And as a fan, it's kind of hard because you're like, well, you won the Super Bowl. Yeah, you did. I mean, absolutely. You got the championship. Like, there's no doubt about it. You're the champions from last year. But that's last season now. This season's now a new year. You know, now you got to get ready for the 2025-2026 season. And you got to show and prove again. And now you're the champion. So there's a lot of different things that come with that. It's one thing when you're the hunter. It's another thing when you're the hunted. And we gotta remember, the Eagles did not handle this. Let me say this. In the macro, you go back to the first Super Bowl title, I'm talking about the following season, the 2018-2019 season. When you talk about that team, how we realized, he paid some guys he shouldn't have paid, kept some guys a little bit longer than he should have, didn't really work out. He didn't know how to prepare to keep a team relevant after a Super Bowl and keep them contending. Now I truly and strongly feel that he does know that. That being said, they just got to put it together. A strong indication, I mean, if they have health like they did last year, and again, every year is different, but if the majority of this team is healthy, they'll be back in the situation again next year. There's no doubt in my mind. But I love the fact that Nick Sirianni is already focused and already talking about next season and already had these guys prepped and really, of the mindset that we cannot rest on our laurels. We have to really now prepare ourselves mentally to be the hunted and to come out in full-fledged attack mode and just, get back to the position that we were at, into a position where we're contending and ultimately hoisting the trophy again, because that's what it's all about. Next would be Howie Roseman, and Howie has a lot of interesting comments. Howie basically was he touched on a couple of different things. He touched on C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He touched on Dallas Goedert. I mean, he touched on the potential contracts down the line for a lot of young guys. A lot of things to unpack. So I'll start with C.J. Gardner-Johnson because I have people, fans of the show, those of you that know that reached out to me, regarding C.J. Gardner-Johnson initially potentially being traded or rumors and then him eventually getting traded. Here's the concrete proof from the horse's mouth. Quote here from Howie Roseman. Every dollar that you spend is a dollar less that you could spend on some of these younger players that maybe you want to retain. He's talking, of course, to Jalen Carter's, Quinyon Mitchell's, Cooper DeJean's. Getting out in front of it was important to us. And again, hard decisions, not asking anyone to agree with them, but that's part of our job. And this is part of growth. Howie 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago now, 8 or 9 years ago, I don't think he would have been talking like this. I think he would have been very hesitant to let go of the team that brought success and the fruits of labor to that championship deprived city at the time. Our fan base, God knows how ecstatic I was when we won, and knock it off 2 dynasties at that too. But that being said, I understand, and I'll explain this again for people. It wasn't because of performance. It wasn't because of C.J. Gardner-Johnson arguing with Darius Slay in the fucking media and the rank of him and Blankenship. It wasn't none of that shit. What it truly really was the fact that he knew he wasn't going to be able to pay him. He's not a part of the plans for 2025 and going forward. He knew, okay, we did right. We got him back. He helped contribute. We won a championship. Everything's cool. Now, let's keep Reed Blankenship, who I think has developed into a very good young player. Yes, he's not CD Deuce, but I like Reed. Reed has really developed into a very good safety. I've been following him since he came out of Middle Tennessee State, undrafted. Very good safety. He's not, and it's so funny because he's not an all-world safety. He doesn't wow you with so many different things, but he's so solid at what he does. He's a guy that you have to keep. You cannot allow him to just walk off. He'll go somewhere and produce even more. So, got to keep him. I just spoke on Jalen Carter, Quinyon Mitchell. I just spoke on Cooper DeJean, Jordan Davis. I'll speak on that shortly. These are guys you want to retain. You spend high draft picks on these guys. And on top of it, they produce. You don't want to be in a situation where 2 years from now, oh, we might have to let some of these guys go. And then what? They go somewhere young as hell and produce elsewhere, and then you got to play against them. Not ideal. Not ideal. When you get these guys, your best bet is to try to keep the core together as long as you possibly can. That's really the goal. So I understand Howie completely in this situation. He also spoke on, like I said, I just stated, spoke on Jordan Davis in the fifth-year option. I like the idea. You know, he's very high on Jordan Davis, as you'll see here in the comments. He's very high on Jordan Davis, as he should be. I think Jordan Davis has kind of got a bad rap because a lot of people are comparing him to Aleem McNeil, who went, I believe, a spot or two after him. Don't quote me on that. You have to look back at the draft. But I believe it was like a spot or two after him in the 22 draft. That being said, Jordan Davis has been a good player for the Eagles. He's been one of our best run defenders. I loved how he came on late last season, especially in the postseason. That Georgia core looks like they're starting to get their footing. I definitely would not want to break that up. So again, I completely understand. When you weigh all of that in comparison to C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he got to go. And he's not the only one. You know, Dallas Goedert. I mean, my guy, y'all. I'm a huge fucking Dallas Goedert fan. I love Dallas Goedert. I think Dallas Goedert has been one of the best tight ends. And think about the chain of how blessed we've been, Eagles fans. You had Brent Selleck, okay? I mean, if you want to go back in the day to Keith Byers, you can go back all the way back to Keith Byers. Reggie Jackson too. But you want to go back, you got Selleck. You then get Ertz, and then you get Goddard. Excuse me, I said Reggie Jackson, Keith Jackson. Thinking baseball, my apologies. Keith Jackson and Byers back in the day. Byers played a little bit more fullback, but they both swapped out that tight end spot. Nonetheless, my apology for the misspeaking. But the point is, the Eagles have had a history and success of having tight ends where they've been blessed the past 15 years. It's not easy to say that. I mean, past 15 years, they've had a solid tight end or a guy that's a playmaker that could do, you know, the job, block, catch, you know. And Ertz wasn't even that great of a blocker, but damn sure could catch the ball and get yards and make plays. It's just sad that this is going to come to this, but this is a situation where he's 30. He's had some injuries. He just came off a great run in the postseason. Might be the time at your peak where you got to get rid of him. The quotes here from Howie Roseman. Right now, he's on our football team, and obviously Dallas Goedert has meant a lot to us. Excuse me, this is Sirianni. I said Howie Roseman. We'll see how that plays out. He's a heck of a football player, heck of a leader. We want to be able to bring back as many guys as you can, but that is not the reality of the NFL. We'll see what happens and how that happens, but of course, you want everyone back. Dallas Goedert's going. I mean, between Howie's comments and Nick Sirianni's comments there, he's going. He's going. And it sucks, but this is the reality. I mean, the only great thing I can say is we won with him. At least we got a championship with him. And I love Dallas Goedert. I thought he was a playmaker. And it's beautiful that you had a guy named Dallas, you know, help beat Dallas. You know, that always is a plus. But, yeah, you know, when you hear Howie Roseman quote say, he's on our team for now, yeah, it's over. It's over. And then, of course, last but not least, he touched on Kenyon Green, who's a very interesting prospect. Now, I've touched on this previously in a video talking about Kenyon Green. He was a prospect the Eagles were looking at a few years ago. They wound up getting Jordan Davis instead of Kenyon Green. Definitely was a good pick. But Kenyon Green is a very interesting prospect. They let go of Mekhi Becton essentially for this guy. So essentially looking here, just Howie Roseman's comments, Kenyon will be the first one to say that he hasn't had a start to his career that he thought he should. And just because maybe we've had success with getting some guys who have talent in their body and just talking about the offensive line here in particular and getting them to play at a high level, that doesn't guarantee success for the next guy. That's got to be earned, and that's got to be earned through hard work, and that's got to be earned from performance on the field. So clearly nothing's guaranteed for this guy. He's got to come in and play and earn it. But they strongly believe a fresh start, him being at Stoutland University, him being around the veterans, him being around better linemen, this could definitely help this guy grow. I mean, I hope so. You didn't bring back Mekhi Becton, and Mekhi Becton was one of your best offseason signings last year. And I understand, you know, again, you can't keep everybody. So let's hope that this kid develops. Now, they're not withdrawn. It is not like the stable is bare. You do have Tyler Steen there. I'm pretty sure they're going to probably make a draft pick within the middle rounds of the draft this year. So they're definitely going to get more alignment. It's just a question of who possibly plays right guard. I have a mock draft episode related to the Bird game that I want you guys to definitely check out. You'll be seeing it after this. But it's touching on a lot of those prospects that I think might fall in line right where Philly's looking at as far as offensive linemen. A lot of interesting prospects. But yeah, Kenyon Green, I mean, he's going to have to do like a lot of these other guys did. Come in, put his head down, work hard, listen to the vets, and we'll see because he's got big shoes to fill. Also, want to touch here on Jeffrey Lurie's comments. It was good to see Jeffrey Lurie talk. He talked for about almost 40 minutes at the owners' meeting during his press conference. He touched on a lot of things. Basically, confirmed that Nick Sirianni's getting a new contract. No shit, man won a Super Bowl. Definitely can understand that. He also talked about very interesting things, like he feels this team is better. This team currently constructed is better than the 2018 team going forward, which I just previously spoke on about how they didn't know how to properly prepare for, how to repeat as champion or how to even go into it long term. This time they have, and he spoke glowingly about how he loves, the future prospects of this team. One of the major things I wanted to talk about, though, was he spoke on his son preparing to take the mantle. And that, within some time, within, I guess, next 5 or 10 years, Jeffrey Lurie definitely want to take a step back, which is going to be crazy because I've been an Eagles fan since I was 3 years old. To give you guys some context, the cheap fuck, the wine drinker and cheese eater that Buddy Ryan used to eloquently speak of, Norman Bremen, who was a former owner of the Eagles from the 80s going into the early 90s. He then sold the team in the mid-90s to Jeffrey Lurie, which was a fucking godsend, thank God. He then sells the Eagles to Jeffrey Lurie, and the team has just been a product, a marker, a plaque, a pinnacle, a pillar of success. I mean, any adjective you want to use, since he's been an owner. He's about 4 Super Bowls, 2 victories. God knows how many conference championship games. God knows how many division titles. But he's ultimately, he's older. Jeffrey Lurie's been, he's been doing this for a while, and now he's at the point where, he's starting to allow his son to take more of a mantle, take more of a role. He's basically stated that his son is going to be taking more of an onus, so it's going to be interesting. And now, again, his son grew up an Eagles fan, so he's kind of diehard like most of us. So his heart's in it as well. But it's going to be weird not seeing Jeffrey Lurie there in a couple years. Jeffrey Lurie, as long as I've looked at the Eagles, I've always looked up in that box and seen him there. So when that time comes, it's going to be sad to see, but let's just hope that his son maintains the threshold or the standard, more or less, maintains the standard that his father set so eloquently for this roster, for this team. Because we got to remember, y'all, we were not anywhere where the fuck we are at now 30 years ago. So got to give Jeffrey Lurie a shitload of credit. He also spoke on the last 2 things from his press conference. He spoke on he wants the offense, the balanced offense to continue. He spoke very highly about not really caring how they get it done, but more or less just as long as they stay balanced, he's fine with that. And I think we can all agree. I think the passing game will definitely improve this year. I think we'll definitely see Jalen take another step. Last year, I don't really think Jalen, compared to 2023, where, for a large portion of the season, he was MVP candidate, and then the team bottomed out and they fell apart. Last year was more of, let's do what we need to do to win. I think this year you'll see them expand a little bit more with the passing game because they'll have a little bit more carte blanche because you have a championship. But I definitely see that. And last but not least, also Jeffrey Lurie said the Eagles will visit the White House. Now, this is definitely a reflection of the sign of the times. Compared to the first championship, the Eagles did not attend that. I think a lot of the players ultimately felt like it was a bad idea during the first Trump administration to go to a ring ceremony or a Super Bowl ceremony. I'm glad that this time these guys did this. Politics, I try to make sure I keep politics out of a lot of things because, ultimately, it's, don't really serve us any good anyway. But most importantly, it's good to see the Birds up there at the White House, being honored as Super Bowl champions and getting that props that they need and that they deserve. And it's a beautiful time to be an Eagles fan, beautiful time to be alive. And I'm anxious for the draft. Anxious for the draft. And like I said, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Stay tuned. Like I said, I'll have that mock draft Eagles episode coming out. A lot of things to unpack in that episode. So definitely make sure you plug in, like, share, subscribe. Take care and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.